Can you work without permission in the United States? Hi, I'm immigration attorney Hillary Walsh, and I'm owner of New Frontier Immigration Law. And I'm bringing you this information today to hopefully give you some peace of mind about what if I've used someone else's name? What if I've worked under someone else's name? What if that person was my daughter and she's a U.S. citizen? Like, what are the consequences of working without permission in the United States, or with permission, but it's someone else's permission? So let's dive into it. First things first, working is a human right. It is a human right and a human need. And for me, it is one of the fundamental, most beautiful things that I get to do in my life is I get to work. I love working. I have always loved working. And that is one of the things that I have so in common with immigrants is immigrants have come to the United States. They have come to the United States in order to work and make a better life for their family. They've not come to the U.S. You hear a lot on the news about immigrants coming to take people's jobs. And I'm telling you, there are more than enough jobs to go around in the United States. And so immigrants are wanting to work, but the government is really stingy with work authorization. So what happens if you have an asylum application pending, for example? But you have to wait the 150 days before you're able to apply because you have to have 180 days on the clock, on the asylum clock, in order to work, in order to get granted work authorization. What if you have no immigration case, right? What if you have no immigration case at all, so you have no way of getting work authorization? How do you go about this? And what happens if you go ahead and work? Are you going to be in trouble with someone somewhere? And the short answer is you need to talk to a lawyer because every case is very case specific. So let's say that you're, just getting general information right now, not about your specific case. Let's start with the person who has no case whatsoever. You don't have an immigration case. You're not in removal proceedings. You don't have an application pending. And you're worried, I've worked without authorization in the past. Is this going to cause me a problem in the future? And the short answer is probably not. It's very unlikely that that's going to cause you a problem because most of the time, if you're going to fix your papers without leaving the country, that's one of the things that my firm specializes in, is being able to help you fix without leaving. If you do that, it's like not working without authorization is like a drop in the bucket. It's not a big deal. It's not going to be an issue because we're going to list it as one of the grounds of inadmissibility that we want to have waived, either through your T visa, through your U visa. If you're filing for VAWA, it's usually because you have an immediate family member, and that's an automatically waived issue is working without authorization. So it really just becomes a non-issue if you're trying to fix in the United States without leaving. Of course, I'm painting with a broad brush. I don't know your specific case. So please do reach out to me or another competent, well-versed immigration lawyer. I always really hesitate if you're talking to someone who does personal injury and divorces and tax law, and they'll review your contract and they'll also talk to you about immigration. It could be very problematic because for the past 11 years that I've been a lawyer, I've only done immigration law. And I still feel like a baby learning my first words because immigration law is so complicated. So please don't talk to a lawyer who does any type of law. Please talk to an immigration lawyer if you're thinking, well, I don't know if this is going to apply to me or not. You can contact me. I'm at New Frontier Immigration Law. I'm located in Phoenix, but I can help you anywhere. And we'll give you more advice that's very specific to you. But for almost any case where you're going to fix in the U.S. without leaving, T visa, VAWA, green card petition, and even for some of these asylum cases where you're seeking asylum, you filed a 589, you came to the border and you either got put into removal proceedings or you came in through JFK Airport. However it is, working without authorization is something that can be forgiven through your asylum process. It's very common, okay, for that to be a forgiven infraction, if you will. It's not really even a crime for the most part. It really is just like something that really the employer is supposed to not employ folks who don't have work authorization versus individuals going out and getting jobs without having permission to work in the United States. So the really, really short answer is usually it's not an issue. It can become a problem. And the area that it becomes a problem most commonly is when you use someone else's papers or someone else's identity to work. In fact, I'm working on a woman's case right now who she was actually prosecuted for criminal impersonation because she worked with another person's identity. Okay. So it can become very problematic. I was talking to a client today and he was like, look, I'm working, but I'm giving my boss a different name. I'm not giving him my real name. It's just a made up name. That's an alias. You're not pretending to be a U.S. citizen. You're not telling someone that you're a U.S. citizen. And here is the U.S. citizen social security number and everything else. Because that is taking employment in order to be a U.S. citizen, which can cause you major, major problems, even if it's your kid or your spouse or your mom. If you go to an employer and you say, here are my documents allowing me to work, and they are a U.S. citizens and they are not yours, that's a false claim to U.S. citizenship for purposes of employment, which is going to create problems. Not if you're getting a T visa or you're getting a specific type of visa where we can waive it. We can waive this problem. We can get a perdón, a pardon waiver for this. That's okay. Like, it is what it is. Please disclose it to me when we're talking about it so I make sure that I waive the right things. But if, I met with a woman not long ago who she came in with her daughter and her daughter was a U.S. citizen over the age of 21. The mom had entered lawfully with a visa and was like, I want to apply for my green card. And I was thinking, great, I think that I can help you. But as she described, one little issue she wanted to bring up, and that was that she had been spending years working as if she was her daughter, saying that I am the name of the daughter and that I'm a U.S. citizen. And this is a false claim to U.S. citizenship that cannot be waived through a regular green card process. And she didn't qualify for any other options. And so I told her I was not able to help her because she had a false claim to U.S. citizenship. So that's when working, you don't have authorization yourself, but you're using someone else's authorization by saying that you're them and that you're a U.S. citizen. That's how that can cause you problems. Now, in terms of an alias, a client who I spoke with literally earlier today and prompted this conversation. Ooh, the lights went out of my office. Now it's the spooky side of, of the podcast. If you're listening to this, I'm in a new office and the office has an automatic timer on it. So if you don't move every few minutes, then the light will go out, and the light has gone out. So fortunately I have my regular lights on. So the show will go on if you're watching. But for my client who he has an asylum application pending, but under US law, you have to wait 180 days before USCIS is allowed to process and issue you a work permit. So you have 6 months of no documents to work. I really don't know what the government thought was going to happen. Like, what are you supposed to do while you're waiting for your asylum application to sit for 6 months? You're apparently just supposed to survive off of nothing. But I digress. So it's very common for people to work without authorization while your asylum application is pending. That is very, very common, and it is not going to ultimately cause you some major issues down the road. Literally everyone does it because how else will you survive? I say that rhetorically, but literally, how else would you survive if you didn't go out and work while you're waiting for your asylum application to have been pending for 180 days? Okay, so he's also using a fake name, a made up name. Let's say his name is John Smith and he's using Joseph Smith, okay? That is not a problem because he's not saying I'm Joseph Smith, a U.S. citizen, and I have authorization to work. I'm just using a made up name. This is called an alias. Working with an alias is not a problem. Okay. So if you've done that, I want to give you the peace of mind that this is not an issue that's going to cause you any major long-term problems. And the really easy solution to this is you just need to apply for what's called an ITIN number, ITIN. It's an individual tax identification number for people who are undocumented. the IRS will issue this number to you so that you can use this number. It doesn't give you work authorization, but it does help you pay your taxes and keep everything organized and show that you are working and you know that you're staying up on your taxes, which immigration loves. And applying for this ITIN number is actually a really, really good move for you as an immigrant. And you should do it if you don't have work authorization. You should still apply for an ITIN number. If you have a social security number, you don't need an ITIN number. But this is kind of like, if you don't have a social, you don't have work authorization, this is a great option. And then the other great option, if you are working and you're, wanting to use your name, obviously, and you want to be on the up and up, is to create an LLC and start your own business. I helped one of my former clients do this, and so that he would be able to offer security services. He is a security guard usually, and he lost his job when he lost his DACA. So he's no longer able to work. He doesn't have work authorization, and he has little kids, and he needs to provide for his spouse and his little kids and his family. And he was like, well, what do I do now? And because there's no form of relief available for him, there's no way I can apply for him to get work authorization again due to him losing his DACA, it being taken away from him. I said, let's start your own business. Let's found an LLC, your security LLC, and then companies hire your LLC. They pay your LLC directly. You get an EIN number with your LLC. You open your bank account with your LLC. And then your people who hire you pay your LLC, and then the LLC pays you as an employee of the LLC. Just like my law firm, I am an employee of the LLC that is my law firm, and no one hires me as an individual attorney. No one's asking me for my proof of work authorization to be able to do services for them. They pay my company. Okay, so this is a way that you can do this if you are a contractor, if you clean houses, if you are an electrician, if you're a handyman, any of these, any service that you provide. Immigration lawyer, I provide legal services, right? So any service that you provide, if you do marketing, whatever it may be, and you're in the United States and you don't have work authorization, this is a great way for you to not get screwed, because so many of my T-visa clients are getting screwed because they don't have immigration papers. And so their employer is paying them way below what the market should pay and what a livable wage is, because they can get away with it, because they know that you need this job so badly. Well, why don't we get you papers? So if I can't help you get immigration papers and have work authorization, the state that you are in can absolutely give you papers through an LLC, and so that you can be employed through your LLC. Okay. So as we wrap up today's podcast on what are the consequences for working without authorization, the general consensus that I want you to take away today is that it's actually less of a problem than one may have you think, because unless you do something criminal like impersonate another person and pretend to be a US citizen or something like that, you're just working without authorization, which is actually something that employers may get in trouble for, but that you as an individual typically will not. And that there are a couple of different, I'll call them loopholes, but they're just options available to you so that you can work with some type of documentation and be able to, like the sign behind me says, live free in the United States and not have to worry about not having that immigration paperwork in order to get paid the wage that you are owed and that you are worthy of. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if this was helpful to you, share it with a friend, because who knows, they may be an entrepreneur in waiting, ready to help change the world with the service they offer. Have a great day, friend.